What's going on, everybody? It's Tiana Adeje. I'm actually here with one of my sister friends. We're going to be talking about single mothers or being a single mother because she is actually a single mother herself. Her name is Kimberly. Kimberly, how are you, sis?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm well. Tell us what you have. You are the single mother of what?
One. I have one and not counting. One daughter.
One daughter. Cool. So how old is she?
She's 14. She'll be 15 in March.
15 in March. All right. That's the year right there. When you're hitting into the preteens, getting on into the semi-adulthood, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that don't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything, honey. I would still put my foot down, okay?
Hello. I know. I understand. Well, sis, I thank you for joining me today by phone. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, and then we'll just let it flow, and then we'll be done. All right? So
All right.
let's get into it. So the first question I have for you actually is, can you name at least 3 things you admire about your daughter?
Wow. 3 things I admire about my daughter. Well, I admire her determination. My daughter she, based off of, what I know about her and based off what her teacher says and things about her, she is very determined. Not necessarily determined to be perfect, but just to have determination to a better understanding. And I'll give you an example. We are obviously going through a COVID situation, and she's actually doing homeschool.
Okay.
And she made 100 on one of her exams.
Oh, yeah.
And there was, okay, I'm like, go ahead, baby girl.
Right.
And she had a question that she wanted to ask one of her teachers.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher was like, well, you got 100. And she said, I know I got 100, but I did it through process elimination. I really didn't understand the question. I just, pretty much did process elimination, guessed it, and I got it right.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to have an understanding of the question that was asked.
Okay.
So not necessarily mean that, she was, didn't know the answer or trying to be perfect, but she really wants to understand information. And that to me just speaks volumes as the type of person that she is. I got 100, but that's still not good enough. I need to know why I got that 100.
Right.
She dares to be different. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to fit in with the crowd or fit in with the popular people at her school. She's popular because of her academics, not popular because of her natural beauty or popular. Well, she is beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. But she's popular because she's different. She doesn't have to fit in, and she does sports and things like that. But when it comes to different awards nights, she's always the top in all of her academics. So she dares to be different in an aspect of, I'm about my studies, I'm about my school, and I just admire her, being, different than what, most kids may say, well, you have to be popular, you have to be the prettiest, you have to be, whatever. She's just like, you know what? I come in here to do my school, I come here to do my work, and she has friends that are like, broad spectrum of friends. They're not just a particular type of friend. So I love that. And then she has this mindset or a drive to just keep going. And when I say that, I'll give you an example. She was doing track one year. It was in like, I believe, 6th or 7th grade, and she wanted to be a sprinter. And she did well sprinting, I think a year or 2 before, but they put her on distance, and she did not want to be on distance at all. So, and she didn't find out the day of the track meet that she was going to be on distance. So they put her on the distance, and I think it was a mile, so that's 4 laps around a traditional track. And she kept going. Now, this is someone who's never done distance running at all. Yeah. And I'm telling you, you got 1 lap out of me, and I'm stopping.
Right.
And she...
Yeah. Same here.
Okay.
Yes.
So she kept going, and each time she got better and better, and she actually played. And I'm sitting here like, you've never done distance, and you you ran a mile straight. She didn't stop. She didn't walk. Like, she paced herself. And even to this day, she's, like, running, like, 7 or 8 miles. I'm 7 or 8 minutes in a mile. I'm sitting here like, we didn't train for this. You know, so I'll ask her, I'm like, Zariah, how are you doing this? You know, and she's like, I just keep saying, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And then, you know, she was having some issues with her hip. She said it was hurting. And she just, you could see in her face that, you know, she was in somewhat discomfort or pain, but she was like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. Yeah. And then she places and, so it's just, those are the 3 things that I guess stands out to me now that I just really admire about my daughter.
That's amazing. And I definitely see where she gets it from, because you have all 3 of those as well, sis. Like I promise you, you do. Just to go hard with it and everything that you do, and even the things that we didn't even know you were passionate about or had that willingness to show your support in extraordinary ways, that people are just like, oh, okay, well, I'll just show up for this just a little bit or just for a few minutes. No, you go until you feel like until your finish line has been reached and your accomplishments have been achieved. And that's, listen, I see exactly where she gets it from. So it's amazing. It's so amazing. So jumping into the next question, can you name, listen, I already know you can name it, but what are the 3 things that you admire about yourself? Or for being a mom, really. I'm sorry, for being a mom.
For being a mom.
Yeah.
So I think for me, being a mom is a selfless behavior. You have to, I choose to put my daughter first. Okay. And for example, like there are times I've had several jobs where maybe I didn't get along with a certain employee, or maybe the management style wasn't up to par. And I know that my daughter relies on me for health insurance. I know that my daughter relies on me for me to put a place over her hand. I know my daughter relies on me to, be able to provide for her, financially. And being a mother, I can't just pop off at the mouth and go off and say whatever I want to say and however I want to feel, because I know that she relies on me to be her support system. Just part of me. I'm not discrediting, my poor family, my whole poor family that also helps with me, raising my daughter. But I know that those main things are coming from me. So that is a selfless act that I have to take up every single day, regardless if I'm in traffic. I can't just, cut somebody off, or and be mean and chase after them, out of anger or rage. I can't do certain things because I have to think about how would this affect my daughter. Yeah. So for me, being a mom is a selfless act that I constantly think about, regardless if she's with me in my presence or not. So that, and then she holds me accountable. The things that I tell her or, try to explain to her, she makes me accountable for my own actions. I can't ask her, or to do certain things, and then, I'm behind closed doors doing other things. So I really love the fact that she, even though she doesn't know about being adulthood and things like that, but like even when it comes to my credit, it comes to different things, it's like I have to be accountable for my bills. I have to be accountable for my behavior in the community. I have to be accountable, even on social media. Like, I don't want anything to come back in a negative light for her, so she holds me accountable for that. And she makes me vulnerable in the sense that I do share some things with my daughter to help and prevent her from, making the same choices. I'm not going to say mistakes because they're choices, to make certain choices. And she's able to, even at this age, because she is a teenager, I'm able to listen to her and listen to her thought process, because we have a really good relationship with each other where she can come to me and talk to me about certain things. She at first was a little, she's like, "My mom's crazy." She might not. I'm like, you better know your mama crazy. But I mean, even with even with that aspect, I had to make sure I tone it down to a sense, or to a point where she could just be free to come and talk to me without feeling like, she's going to be judged or anything like that. Because I'm not out here to judge. I'm out here to guide her to be the best citizen that she can be, and be able to make the best decisions and choices when I'm not there in her ear, when I'm not there in her corner. So it just opens me up to a point where I feel like I can talk to her and I can discuss these things about life with her. So those are, I guess, the things that make me, that I admire about myself that I'm doing to ultimately provide and, be able to help my daughter as she grows up.
Wow. You said, okay, I'm trying not to raise a question outside of the question, but it's just, with what you just said, it just basically shows how parenting can build that grounding for having a relationship / friendship to evolve instead of always having the goal to try to be your child's friend. There are times where we have that friendship moment, but yet overall it's still a parent-child difference that is well understood. And when you said that she can come to you about anything, that's amazing, because that's what I'm trying to establish with my daughter when it comes to letting her voice her opinion to me. And also that holding me accountable too, because there's some things I may say or do that may seem a little wayward to her, and I just want to make sure that, okay, I'm doing this because, and making sure I explain. A lot of things may not be fit for me to explain to her at the moment because of her age level, but even still, it's just to be held accountable by your child. That's amazing, because not everybody will tell you the truth. Not everybody sees you, of course, on your ins and outs, on your off days, your own days, whatever it is. They don't see every aspect of you like your child does. And so that's what I admire as well, as far as you all's relationship. So let me ask you this then. Do you think single mothers your age today have a challenge being in a long-lasting relationship if they wanted to be in one? Why or why not?
I don't think single mothers have a challenge necessarily within a long-term relationship. And the reason for that being is being a single mother, that's just a small piece of who that individual is. A single mother doesn't make you what you are. Like, it's just a part of who you are. So, for instance, a male might say, I don't want to date someone who's short. I want to date someone who's tall. I don't certain what. These are different things that they have. We all have, not necessarily a type, but we all have things that we're willing to accept when it comes to dating, and we're willing not to accept. For me, I had a point in my life where I wanted to date someone with a child because they could probably better understand what it's like for me to be a mother. They could probably understand it better what it's like for me to say, I can't do this, I can't do that because my daughter has a game, my daughter has practice, I need to see this for my daughter, I need to do that. And I would think that type of person or that type of male will understand what it's like to be a parent that doesn't have the other, parent inside their home. So I don't think it's a challenge by any means at all, because it's a preference. You can choose to date someone within your religion or without outside of your religion. So it's not necessarily, to me, a hindrance. It's a preference. So if someone chooses not to date you because you have children, that person's not for you.
Gotcha.
And that's okay. You understand how many people are in this world, in this country? You understand, how many people out there that have children right now? And then how many people we can look at my age or older or younger and say, what's wrong with you? You don't have any kids. You know what I mean? So everybody's on a different journey. Everybody has different things that's going on in their life that gets them to whatever point or, final destination that they're going to. And along the way, maybe you do have a child in that process. Maybe you don't have a child in that process. But that's not going to stop a man from wanting to be with you if that's not one of his deal breakers.
Gotcha.
If he wants to be with you, he's willing to accept you and your child, or children, let's say children, that willing to accept you and your children, because you never know. What if you were married and got a divorce or whatever, and their children was a part of it? It doesn't even matter. To me, it doesn't matter whether you were married or not married. You have a child. This is a life that you are responsible to take care of. And if a man cannot accept that, good riddance.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. You know what I mean? So it's not it's not a negative to me. It's not a negative. To me, it's not a negative thing that if someone chooses not to be with me because I have a child. I'm like, you know what? I totally respect that. Thank you, but I'm going to let you know up front. This is what it is. You know what I mean? And you can choose to stay and get to know me, or you can choose to walk. Either one is fine with me.
Man, what I got out of that is when your preference is basically intertwined with that acceptance, it has to come with that acceptance. So whatever you prefer, you got to be willing to accept whatever it is that's coming with that. It could, it could seem as if it's baggage, but then again, it could be turned into some treasure. You just never know, because it just has to be what that person is willing to commit to and accept, just to make it a long-lasting relationship, and whatever else seems to happen afterwards. But that I definitely agree. I definitely agree.
It's give or take.
It is.
It's give and take. You're not going to have a perfect relationship. I might meet a man that can't have children. And for him, it might be a blessing that I already have a child. And I would have to accept that he can't give me more children. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no perfect relationship. It's going to be give and take no matter who you decide to end up dating or marrying long term. There's give and take. You know, somebody might say, you know, I might have diabetes, or I might have that, or I might have this, whatever it could be. Like, it's something that it's just a part of that person that you have to accept.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
yes. Yeah. Totally. Wow. Let's jump into the next question without me trying to prolong the last one that we were just talking about. Do you think there is a difference with a woman being called a baby mama versus a single mother?
So there's differences and similarities. So when I hear the word baby mother or baby mama, let's say not mother, because it's baby mama, what most people say. They don't say my baby mother. Right. When I hear baby mama, I usually, or typically, what I've heard was a negative tone as to what that word was, or who that person is as a woman to that child's father. That's just my baby daddy. That's just my baby. You know, it usually come with a negative tone or undertone to it, to that title. So for me, I prefer not to be called that. But I also have that understanding with my daughter's father. I don't call him my baby daddy. You know what I mean? Because I know that he's more than that to our child that we're raising as co-parents. So I think that word is used depending on the relationship that people have between both parents.
Okay.
I personally just don't use it. And that's the same way that somebody could say, oh, he's just my sperm donor.
Yeah.
Like, he's more than that because he gave life unto a child that you decided to engage in sexual relationship with and cause a beautiful thing to come out of it. Maybe the relationship didn't work out between both parents, and that's okay. But I don't like the word personally, baby mama, baby daddy, because at one point in your life, you thought it was okay to hook up with this person.
Right.
So don't degrade the person now because it didn't work out and he's not doing the things he said he's going to do, or you're not doing the things. Let's not do that. Let's give the respect. Like, that is the mother, that is the father of my child. You know, regardless of what happened in the past, I would give that person that much respect. And when it comes to, what was the other word? Single parent?
Yeah,
single mother? So, again, single and mother, I think those are two different things that describe a person, but it's not necessarily one.
Okay.
Single is my marital status. I'm single, I'm not married, I'm not divorced, I'm not widowed. Me being a mother is a totally different aspect. I'm a mother to my child. I'm a mother to my daughter. You know, I take care of my daughter in the sense that I am her mother. I am to cover her. As same thing as her father. We don't necessarily hear single father unless he's raising a child by himself. But at the end of the day, he's single. If his marital status, but he's ultimately the father. You
That's
know
true.
what I mean?
That's true.
So when I hear that, I think of that's not one, it's two, but they're not really the same. You know, so I don't even sometimes go by that because then it groups you in a category of just being one particular thing, which there's two different entities. So but we can just say we can spin off on words. Oh, you're a single mother, and that's totally fine. But like when it's given or when it's said like in a negative tone, are you a single mother?
Yeah.
No. Then I'm gonna correct you. I'm gonna school you on a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't like the word baby mama. I don't like the word baby daddy. And it's dependent on the tone and the reference to being a single mother or a single father that determines whether someone gets checked or not.
Yeah. And because a lot of times, to me, it can be used a little too loosely. I can understand if people are just joking around at times. I mean, you could be a married couple and say, hey, that's my baby mama, my baby daddy, whatever. I mean, that's y'all's thing. But even, too, what kind of gets me, it may just be me, too, when people say, hey, that's my kid, that's my whatever, instead of just saying that's my daughter, that's my son or whatever. But again, it could just be me. But when you just constantly say your child is your kid, that's my kid over there, oh, that's my kid's mom, that's my... I don't know. It kind of rubs me a different way. So it's just like a respect, because it's like now you're, like you said before, like pretty much degrading the child. You chose to have a child, but now it's like, okay, that's my kid. No. So, I mean, again, it could just be me, but at the same time, it's just a matter of respect for who you chose to be with and what you chose to bring into this world with the other person.
And just to piggyback on that, sis, like children or kids, they're listening. Just to be completely honest, I remember I was talking to a gentleman on the phone, and I had said, I got to take my child somewhere. And my daughter, she even checked me. She was like, Mom, I'm not your child, I'm your daughter. I'm like, whoa. And she didn't say it in a negative way, but she was telling me that how it made her feel. And I'm glad that she, had the courage and the boldness to say, Mom, I felt this way when you said this. You know what I mean? So they're listening.
Yeah.
And I don't want my daughter, and I had to apologize, because I said, I got to take my child somewhere. She's like, I'm your daughter. You know what I mean? So they're listening. So I would encourage your listeners to be mindful that your children are listening to the labels that you're putting on them. They're listening. And, maybe she probably wouldn't have caught that if she was like 4 or 5, but she's 14. And she caught it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, it's just being mindful of other people and how we just basically show our respect to them. I mean, we may have had our differences, may have had our disagreements and all of that, but at the same time, it comes down to, how we are treating each other even verbally, because there is some mistreatment verbally. I mean, we can just, ignore the person all day by phone or, just in person, but it just goes a long way when you're aware of how your words really can affect somebody, and your titles and everything like that. So I definitely appreciate you answering that one, sis. This last one is what would you say or do to try and offer help or encouragement to a single mother who is incarcerated?
So timing is everything. And I believe, for someone that is like young and juvenile that, will have an end date, or someone that is older, in prison that has an end date of their sentence, they really have to stay focused. Because just because I'm out here free and I'm able to do what I'm doing, in a sense, I'm kind of not free, because I still have to do things in order to not jeopardize me being able to take care of my daughter. So if you have an end date, or if you have like let's say a shorter sentence or time that has to be served, you have to think of, I would encourage women to think, I have to do what it takes so I can get to my end date. I have to do what it takes to not jeopardize my sentence in prolonged or, been extended. I have to think about those things in my head because I want to get out. Or, I would think that, a mother will want to get out to be with their child or children, things like that. So just to stay focused. Stay focused on the goal. Make sure you're still doing things, within those, 4 walls that is going to help you be a better mother once you get out. There are different courses or different classes you can take that is offered to, because I used to work for the Department of Corrections here in Tennessee, where I know there's different programs that you can, take that's going to help you to be a better parent once your sentence has, been, or your time has been served. For someone that is longer, let's say someone that, might not have a chance for, probation or parole, maybe their sentence, is just, maybe their, whatever sentence they have is going to be something they might not be able to live past to see if they can, have that relationship with their children. Even with that, it's to still stay focused. There are things that women have gone to jail, or, young adults have gone to jail that could have been in the heat of a moment. That could have been something that, they did, out of anger, out of rage, out of, premeditated. Whatever the issue is, I am a Christian, and I believe God forgives us of all of our sins. My sin is no bigger or worse than someone else's. Sin is sin. So when you have that peace of knowing that, number one, God loves you, God forgives you. And for me, I would encourage those women to understand, forgive yourself first. Because it's a little bit harder to have so much hope when you have a longer sentence. And it's a lot of guilt and a lot of, torture, mental torture. But to find a way to have mental peace within whatever situation or whatever sentence that is given to you for something that was done, get mental peace. Forgive yourself and give mental peace. And when it comes to your children, whether the children or the young adults, whatever the case may be, depending on whatever stage of life, you're in, still make wise choices or decisions to still say, when I die, whenever that is, I did what was best for, me in this situation to say, I might not be able to be with you out here in the outside world, but I'm going to do what's best for me right here in this moment, in the circumstances that have been given to me, and I'm still going to, try to be, you can't physically be a mother, and while you're in the prison walls, I guess I would say that, but you can still live your life according to say, you know what, I'm still going to be a good example. I can still help witness and teach someone else that might not have the same end game or end state as myself. Like, I can still pour back into those women who might be able to get out, and I can still be able to help them, you know what I mean? Be able to just have a better outlook, a better thought process as to when they get out. So, I mean, it's kind of hard for someone to have hope, but there is hope, even though you're not able to be with your children or be with your kids or, their young adults while you're still in the prison walls. Because at the end of the day, all of us got an end date. And it's what you do in between that time that determines what type of legacy you leave behind. Again, I don't, there are certain people, that's like, I did what I did and I was wrong for what I did and they're regretting, they're sorry and things like that. And then there are other people that are not. But for those people who are willing to listen and get the advice to say, I understand what you're going through or what situation you're in right now, it's very hard. It's very hard to do it. I know you're going to miss your kids. I know you're going to miss your children in that part of the aspect that you're not able to grow up, that they're not able to grow up with you and you're not able to raise them, things like that. Do not beat yourself up over that. Do not. It's torture. And it's something that, you don't need that type of energy already in a already not so good situation. You know what I mean? So just being able to have peace with yourself and doing whatever you can do to say, you know what, if something was to happen to me within these walls or whatever, my child will know that I still tried to be a great person under such unfortunate circumstances. So still act in accordance as to what type of legacy you want to leave behind for your child, regardless of the situation that you're currently in. So still hope, still, being able to accept what's going on, and still you can still love your children whether there's communication or no communication. You can still love your children from a distance. And let that be your motivation to say, you know what, I'm still going to do right. I'm still going to do everything that I can here. I'm still going to take these courses. I'm still going to do things that's going to better myself in this particular situation I'm in. So timing is different. It just depends on what spectrum, that mother is in, whether she's on the spectrum of, I got 3 years, I can at, 20% or whatever, or the other spectrums like, I got life. You know what I mean? So it's kind of different. But still encouragement. I would still encourage them both depending on, it just depends on what section they're in, what direction that I would encourage them to look at, what type of outlook to have.
Yes, and making sure that they're doing what's best for them in the moment, and then letting the rest follow when it comes to even dealing with their children, because even after being released and just having to deal with the pressures of that, I don't know if they're going to look at me the same or whatever the mindset is that they have right there. It's just a matter of, what can I do for me now? I mean, it's some things that you can't redo, but it's some things that you can work towards doing even better than what you were doing before you even ended up in that position. So it's just a matter of seeing it as a new start if you can. And yes, definitely the encouragement to just keep making sure that the better choices are made for all.
Absolutely.
So that everyone can see the change.
Support system. There's some support systems. Like I said, I work for the Department of Correction. There are programs for, mothers, when they are being released, and they prepare you for the good and they prepare you for the bad. So take those courses, take those things into consideration seriously, and be prepared. But have peace within yourself first.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I thank you so much for taking this call. You all continue to do what you've been doing, and even on a greater scale, because y'all are amazing. You and your daughter both. And
thank you.
Just keep loving on each other.
You're
like you've been doing. Thank you, sis. Thank you so much.
You and your baby girl.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But again, y'all just keep loving on each other and just building at that relationship, because you're definitely an example for a lot of young mothers and daughters and even sons as well. I mean, if they have a child, basically. But overall, overall, I thank you again, sis. And you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thanks.
Alrighty.